All right, I'm here in my testing world. I saw a post on Reddit asking to build an autocrafter. So I thought, instead of building specific autocrafter, why don't I teach you? I've been running through the logic. Why don't I show you the logic of how I would build an autocrafter so that you can adapt it to your needs? And I actually think it's a lot simpler than people make it out to be. So we're going to start with a standard autocrafter. I have what I need, actually. So I'm just going to do a little simple thing here. This is all standard. I don't know why I'm blocking. Yep. And then, yeah, my redstone. And then a hopper can go here. So this is a simple autocrafter. What I'm going to do is this one is going to have every slot filled in. And this one is just going to have what I need for the recipe. So if I was crafting boats, I could do this. Right. If I was crafting, just say buttons, I could have just the middle one. But this only works if the recipe contains a single item. So if I put, like, let's say a bunch of planks. If I wanted to craft boats, I could put a bunch of planks in here. And there's a boat. See, it'll slowly fill up, and then we'll click every time that these 9 slots output the same power as these 9 slots. That's what the comparator does, is it's comparing the signal strength. So this will keep running until it's out of wood. This is a very standard single item or single ingredient autocrafter. So I'm going to modify this a bit. And yeah, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. How can I do this? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it from the side to give me a bit more room. Yeah, I can do that. And then that. This is the same thing. It's just instead of this block here powering, the signal comes around and will power it from this side. This repeater goes through that block and will power the block under the crafter. So if I go ahead and I put in more wood, yeah, it's still going to work. It's not outputting buttons or anything. Yep, okay. So let's take that out of there. /clear, and then I can yeah. Alright, so that gives me more room to work with. And what I'm going to do with this room, I should have built it facing the other way. Can I mirror? Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out how to... Right, I just used some world edit to copy it over to this side. We can get rid of this. Okay. Now, the idea behind this is we can have this dropper here. We can, or this hopper, we can put, I gotta angle these, right? A bunch of droppers around this, right? This one's gonna be tricky. Yeah, okay. Then we'll do this. And what I'll do is I'll add an output chest to this. Where is chests? I don't need autocrafters anymore. Okay. So yeah, this here is the output chest. Right. So it's the same design, but now what we can do is put buttons on each of these hoppers. And say if we wanted to craft a dispenser, it needs 3 ingredients. So cobblestone, Right. Redstone. I just got rid of my redstone. And bows. Right. So if I put cobblestone in here and redstone in this next one, and then bows in this third one, what I can do is I can press cobblestone and a cobblestone goes in here. I can do it 4 times. 2, 3, 4. And now I can do, or not a redstone. I switched these. With these 3 droppers facing into the hopper, I can click any of these and it'll put that item. So I'm going to click 4 of dropper 1. Right. Okay, 1 of dropper 2. And then 2 more of dropper 1. Dropper 3. And then another dropper 1. And ta-da! We just made a dispenser. Although I already see an issue. Because this... Yeah, okay, so I just have to break that block. And as long as it's not bud powering anything, it should work. I'm just gonna fill in the rest of these. It's pulsing twice. And I think that's just because that, maybe. Yeah, there. See, now it only pulsed once. Okay. So yeah, so now we have 3 droppers set up to make a dispenser. So what we need to do now is I'm actually going to how can I do this? I'm going to set this up so that we can power each dropper in a line. And if you notice, I should probably put a repeater here. If you notice, this is binary. In the first 4 items is all cobblestone, which is in hopper 1. So it's 1 0 0, and we do that 4 times. Cool. The next item is the bow, which is in 2, which is 0 1 0. That's binary for 2. The only thing is hopper 3 is actually binary number 4. That is 4, right? 0 0 1. So yeah, that's binary for 4. So what we need is actually an encoder to tell us which, when we press a button, that button correlates to each dropper, and we can have it in a sequence. And since there's 9, I'm going to need a repeater in here somewhere, but I'll figure that out later. Since there's 9 items, we need 9 decoders. It's going to take me a second to place these in. And I am using Matt Batwing's design for a decoder. I don't know if he's the one that came up with it. He is the one where I learned it from. I'm going to need more space, aren't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. There we are. So since this recipe has 9 items in it, we have 9 decoders. And each decoder is going to have a torch. Right. Oh. There we go, and redstone on top of it. Okay, and now I'm going to run through left to right, just so it makes a bit of sense, I guess. So for the first four, 1, 2, 3, 4, those were all cobblestone. So we just need line 1 here to be powered for the first 4, right? And that probably puts some cobblestone in here. Yeah. Where should I put the repeaters? Do I need repeaters? Let me get rid of that. Yeah, I need repeaters because that signal doesn't go all the way. So I'm just gonna come in here at an arbitrary point. Alright, so now that the signal actually reaches, yep, let me put this redstone back. Now that the signal actually reaches from the back there, we can continue on. The next sequence is, or the next item is dispenser 2, which is the bow. And the last item, or the next item, is 2 more cobblestone. So line 1 and 2. Take those out. And then we have a redstone. And finally, 1 more cobblestone. So now, instead of having to click this button 4 times, and then this one once, and then that one 2 more times, what we do is we can come here and click each of these buttons in sequence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And a dispenser gets crafted. Cool. So now we have a sequence. Pretty simple. And if I come back here, I'm gonna take these buttons off. We can create a sequence of redstone. We just need repeaters, right? Because this one will power, then that one will power. So if I come here and just do like 2 ticks, I'm completely guessing on the timing. Maybe 3 ticks. I might go 3 ticks and see if I can shorten it later, because that will add a delay, and that'll add a delay. So between each one, I'll do 4 ticks and see if I can shorten it, just to be safe. Okay. But this button is going to power the repeater for way too long, where multiple of these will fire at the same time. What we need is to shorten the pulse, and for that we need a monostable circuit. Now, my standard monostable circuit, I don't actually have the stuff for. It's been way too long since I've been on the Redstone tab in Creative. I'm normally a survival player. My normal monostable circuit is this one. This is a rising edge monostable. Yeah. So when you click the button, it pushes the observer into place, and the redstone will fire for a tick, and it retracts it before it can fire again. If you just had the observer, it'll fire once on the rising edge, so that when the pulse starts, and then once on the falling edge, which is why you need the piston to retract it before the falling edge. Yeah. I'm not using that one because that one's not customizable, I guess. The one I'm going to use still uses a sticky piston. I can get rid of this redstone. And in fact, if you're conserving resources, we don't actually need that redstone either. We just need it to power that one torch. So the monostable circuit I'm using is this one. So now, let me get my button back. This did that work? that got all messed up. Okay. And that's why I wasn't going to use that first one. Yeah, I wonder why that's not working. I'm going to add more delay to it. Probably because that's 1 ticket delay. Let's try 2. It's still messing up the same way. So what's going on? Let me get a... Oh, you know what? Will this work? I know exactly what's going on. What's this doing? Yeah, I got I don't know how to solve this easily. So what's going on is this torch powers or depowers at the same tick that this one powers. So we need more delay. We need like a tick delay between them. Let me pick up this redstone, and this random fire on the ground here is bugging me. So what I've done is I've given myself more leeway with the timing. We can go back, it's going to be longer than it has to be, but I can go back later and shorten the timings to the point where it just barely works, but it does work. So as you see now, it actually does flash individual times. And I left these timings here the same because since it's changing lanes, this one's on, then that one's on, then this one's back on. It's not continuous. But it does work. We get a dispenser. Each time we click this button, we get a dispenser. There we go. So I just have to feed it with bows, cobblestone, and redstone. And we can do that easy enough, right? Chests. So bows, cobblestone, redstone. This one's my cobble. So I just fill this with cobblestone. That's easy. This one's my redstone. Right. And then bows. For now, I'm just going to fill it with bows. And you can do this. You can autocraft. You can just get a bunch of string and with string and sticks and just shift Q to fill them into the crafting table, and then shift Q to throw them all out and put them all in a chest like that. We'll come back to this and I'll show you a better way to do it. But yeah, so now I don't have to worry about refilling it as often. And each time I click this, I get another dispenser. But this should be automated. I shouldn't have to click the button, right? That's easy, because we're already outputting a redstone signal. So I'm just going to take this redstone signal and run it all the way back to the start. Yeah. Right. And now let's just place a torch here temporarily. I do need a repeater here. Actually, I probably don't need one there if I just put a redstone. That's the easier way of doing it. Alright, there you go. I can get rid of this, put that there. Now, to start it, we just start it once, and it's going to go through the line, fill up the dispenser or the crafter with items, and then it's going to go back through the line again and do it again. Ta-da! We made an auto crafter. Now, it would be nice to have a shutoff, right? We don't want it to always loop back. And I'm actually... The easiest way I've found to do this is with a block, a sticky piston, and a torch. So if I put this here, it's gonna loop through. Let me grab a lever. It's gonna keep looping through, right? So I want to shut it off. It'll no longer loop through, right? Because we removed the circuit. But in order for it to restart when we put it back, okay, so to make it, instead of clicking this lever to reconnect the circuit, then coming all the way over here to click this button, I want it to restart when we push this back. And that should be pretty easy, because it's just detecting when that first moves in. That should work, right? So it is currently off. That's a problem. Okay. So yeah, I don't want it to detect when it's off. Cool. Actually, there's a simpler way of doing this. Okay. We want to detect when this observer, or when this piston gets put into place. I'm just going to grab this one. Okay. We want to detect when it moves forward, but not when it moves back. So we're going to use this. The rising edge monotable circuit. So what we need is a piston with an observer facing it. Cool. Now, every time it loops back, this will be our rising edge monostable, and not this. It's a bit of redstone too. But in order to detect that it's been put in place, I'm actually going to put a NOT gate in. And then this lever will lock it. Right. When I turn it back on, it's going to go back through. I'm going to put that on 2 ticks. And you see, there it restarted. So that rising edge monostable is going to activate every time it cycles through. And we can lock it. We can lock the monostable open to where the circuit's open, and it won't cycle through. And that should have, yeah. Now we've got a bunch of dispensers. So there you go. There's your automatic dispenser crafter in a very simple logic form. Like, this is super simple for such a complex auto crafting recipe. And it's 9 items long. So you can, and all recipes in this game are 9 items. So you could have 5 dispensers if a recipe takes 5 different items. What recipe does that? I don't know if there is a recipe. But like if you wanted if you wanted comparators, you can put redstone, redstone torches, quartz, and stone in here, and then you just change up the sequence. So the logic holds for any recipe in the game, and it's expandable. So you can do 4 dispensers, you can do 5 dispensers. You just have to make sure the item will flow into the auto crafter before the next one gets dispensed. But yeah, this is the basic redstone, and there are very many ways to compact it, but I'm going to show you a quick quality of life feature. Okay. I'm going to change out my concrete color. Let's put it under wool. Let's do blue. I don't want this one to run out of bows ever. In fact, I don't want any of these to run out. So the way we detect if something runs out is comparators. In fact, if these comparators have any type of redstone output, right, we want the system, or if the comparators don't have a redstone output. Right now they have a redstone output because there's items in the chests. If these run out, that comparator turns off. Right? We want that torch to now power this and turn, because right now the whole thing is off. We need that torch to power this block to turn the system off, just like we're doing with the lever. And it's pretty simple. We just... ta-da. So now, even though this lever is flipped and the system's turned on, because we're out of an item, it actually turned itself off. And technically with bows like this, it's fine, because we only use one bow. But what if we only had a single piece of cobblestone in the system? Right. Well, with us taking the readings off the chest, we have spare cobblestone in the hopper and in the dropper. That doesn't matter either, because it'll finish its crafting recipe. And then I just realized I have okay, I just realized the scoreboard. It's that display. Sidebar. Cool. Sorry, I was testing a data pack with those command blocks. I'm sorry, that's been the entire game. That's the carpet mod for players. I didn't actually have Etho in my game. But yeah, so even though there's only one cobblestone in the chest, there's still plenty in the hoppers and droppers to finish the recipe. So not a big deal. It all works. But you notice we're going to run out of bows a lot faster than we run out of anything else. So we need a way to autocraft bows. Well, I could build another one of these and then have this fill into this chest so that this chest will always be full of bows. But I think that's a bit complicated and bulky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hotbar back. I am going to build another autocrafter. I don't know where to place this one. Sure. Give myself plenty of room. And I'm actually going to pre-fill this one with sticks. I don't know why I cleared out my inventory. Sticks and string. Yep. So there you go. It's got a... and now, if I take the comparator reading from this chest, I could use this one, but that's a bit crowded. So I'm actually going to take it from over here. Let me get my hotbar back and my... Right. And now, when this gets low, I want this to activate. So right now it's off, it's low and it's off. So I need the signal to be on, so it's gonna be that. And then there we go. Just feed it into the dropper. So now when it's low, it's gonna craft a new bow for me. Ta-da! Now I could do, what we're going to do here is I'm going to put another input chest. And this is eventually going to run out of sticks and string. But if I just do something like this, it's probably better. Now, sticks and string. Oh, I got a glitch in the system. What is this doing? Something messed up. Why are these on? It's a lot of those. Okay. So now this will be filled with string when this one isn't running. I don't know what happened. It's not working, something's weird. I messed something up and I don't know what it was. So why is it doing that? I think this, just to prevent it from feeding back into itself, is there some sort of bud power issue? I don't think there's a bud power issue. This shouldn't. It's probably a bud power issue. Turn it back on just to. Oh, you know what? That's what it is. This. Okay. This shutting off and restarting is actually re-triggering the Rising Edge monostable we have here. That should be an easy fix, because if we make that independent, I can go here. If we make the shut off here independent of, let me just, yeah, so now if it runs out of this one, we need a single repeater there. Cool. Cool, okay. And this actually, we don't need that because this needs to be a NOT gate. Now, if something runs out, this will turn on and it'll disconnect the circuit independent of the monostable circuit. we just need this. This needs a bit more refining. So what I want, let's make sure this might actually work. The timing might be fine, but there is a way. Yeah, timing's perfectly fine. Because you see it extends before the signal to reset comes through. That was my concern. And if that happened, we could get rid of this. Let me turn this off so I don't run myself dry. I won't, because I have the reset system. We can get rid of that and put in something really simple here. Let me get the block. And a dispenser. So this does not have items in it, so it should be powered, which means I can actually do it from here. Yeah. This will craft a few bows. So when the bows run out, it extends this, pulses this a bunch of times. And then we get a few bows, and that gives us a couple cycles of leeway. So that is technically better. I'm just gonna stick these back in here. But it didn't really matter since the timing was right anyway. Yeah. You've now just created an autocrafter for any item in the game. Any. With this exact same logic, you can mass produce anything. This is just droppers, or dispensers, because that's one of the hardest items to manually craft. You now understand the logic behind this item crafter. And this type of item crafter works with any in the game. So yeah, thank you to Matt Batwings for the decoder, for the binary decoder. And hope you enjoyed. See ya.